Coming up, underwater rescue teams recover a body in Shoal Creek during a search of Joplin's Grand Falls.
We are right back on it as heat advisories reemerge and will carry us into Father's Day weekend, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Mercy Hospital celebrates a big milestone with its 100th life-saving implant.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go on over to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Third consecutive night we broke a record. Did the old warm low. Once again, 3 consecutive days we've been able to do that, / nights. The 13th, the 14th, and now June the 15th overnight. Now, Tanya, we did drop into the 70s. We did. Dropped as low as 79. That broke the previous record of 78 not too long ago. That was just 2016. Still sitting at 79 at Joplin Regional Airport, 76 in Chanute, 75 in Monette, and 77 in Miami. Luckily, it won't be as windy as it has been past couple of days. You can tell it's already calmed down quite a bit, but we do have the heat advisories that have crept back in, lasting until 8 o'clock tonight. You'll also notice just in the far northwestern section of the 4 states, see a little sliver of green? Well, that's actually the result of some late night rain. Now, here's where we currently sit on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. But if we were to go back to say, about the 11 o'clock hour, that's where that flood warning's from. They picked up about 1.5 inches of rain, did so very, very quickly. Everything's moved out as of right now. The heat wave has not moved out, still encompassing the Midwest and pushing it all the way down to the southeast, meaning we are going to be in the mid-90s later on today. We'll go feeling about like 103 to 105 during our afternoon hours. Tanya, yesterday wasn't too bad, but I'll tell you what's going to happen here at the noon hour. As we put future track here, give you an idea. Past couple of days, when you and I do the KOAM News at noon, we've been able to skirt past the triple-digit heat index readings during the noon show. This is not going to be the case today.
Okay.
I mean, there we are during the afternoon. So we're looking at the noon. Yeah, I bet you we're going to see some triples during the noon show. That shows you how quickly it's going to heat up.
Yeah. Makes you look out to western Kansas where they're already in the triples, but then you have to think about the lack of humidity out there compared to here.
They've had that definitive dry line on the west side of Wichita that's just kind of hung right there.
Yeah.
They have been able to avoid that.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Authorities recover a body in their search for a missing man in Shoal Creek at Joplin's Grand Falls. Water rescue teams had been searching the area since receiving a report that a man had gone underwater in the river Tuesday afternoon and never resurfaced. Crews searched for several hours on Tuesday evening and then resumed the search yesterday using boats and depth sonar. A body was recovered around 6:20 Wednesday evening. Authorities have not yet revealed the identity of the person. A Webb City man has died from a motorcycle crash in Joplin. On Wednesday, police say 28-year-old Juan Gabriel Gonzalez Correa was riding a motorcycle at a high speed at the intersection of Zora and Rangeline. A car coming from the opposite direction was making a left turn, and the motorcycle hit the car. Gonzalez Correa later died at the hospital. The rising cost of fuel takes its toll on law enforcement budgets. The Crawford County Sheriff's Department says its spending for fuel has climbed more than 60% from a year ago and expects the cost to increase.
Time last year in May, our fuel bill was just a little under $11,000 for that month, so it was about $10,700, and that was at a $263 average. Well, this May the average is $383. And it was a $16,000 bill. So, so we're seeing about a $6,000 from last time,
Well, coming up in our 6 o'clock show, KOAM's own Jalen Banks digs deeper into this story. Inflation is at a 40-year high. The Federal Reserve took an aggressive measure on Wednesday to slow down the rising cost. Meanwhile, President Biden is asking oil companies to help lower gas prices. Skylar Henry has the latest.
Desperate times call for desperate measures for grocery shoppers.
Honestly, I've been looking at TikToks on how people grow their own produce at this point, just because it's getting so expensive to go and buy it from the store.
To slow those rising prices, the Federal Reserve raised its benchmark interest rate by 0.75%. the largest such increase since 1994.
We're strongly committed to bringing inflation back down, and we're moving expeditiously to do so.
Raising rates tends to slow spending by creating higher borrowing costs for credit cards, auto loans, and mortgages.
Inflation has obviously surprised to the upside over the past year, and further surprises could be in store.
The Federal Reserve is an independent body. The White House says it has full confidence in the Fed to tackle inflation, but the Biden administration is also looking at ways it can help consumers.
For families, we understand gas prices are high.
With gas prices now more than $5 a gallon nationally, President Biden called on 7 U.S. oil refiners to ramp up production and stop making historically high profit off Americans. Financial advisor Liz Miller.
The biggest driver of inflation everywhere is energy prices and how it's flowing through the economy. So even as goods prices are going up, they're really driven by higher energy prices.
President Biden is expected to discuss oil production when he visits Saudi Arabia next month. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Inflation is above 8% year over year, while the Fed's target is 2%. Powell suggested that another 3/4 point hike is possible in late July if inflation data continues to show poor results. Mercy Hospital celebrates a milestone with heart. Mercy Joplin recently completed its 100th Watchman Implant. The Watchman is a device that treats atrial fibrillation that is not caused by a heart valve problem. A Watchman is also considered as an alternative to blood thinners. On Wednesday, they recognized the patient who received the implant.
It makes us feel great. We brought this service here for our community, and it feels great that we can keep them here with the doctors they know and trust, and we don't have to refer them, out to larger health systems to have it done. So it's really been a game changer for us here locally.
The Watchman implant is about the size of a quarter.
Ranging anywhere from 72 up in the far north, where there was even some late night rain, down to 79. Still waiting on somebody to hit 80 for the first time on this Thursday morning. Heat advisories lasting until 8 o'clock tonight as we push into the mid-90s. Remember, the next several days we slowly warm up, even warmer than what we've had here in the beginning and middle of the week. Head into the weekend, 93, 96, 94, even 92 for Father's Day.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, over 100 high school athletes put their skills on display for the coaching staff at Pitt State with the hopes of becoming future gorillas. Plus, we take a look at why gas prices fluctuate and how much recent prices have affected people. And the Biden administration moves to make sure the nation's water supply stays clean. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Pittsburgh State football hosted a prospect camp yesterday afternoon. Here's the latest on the first of 2 camps this summer.
Over 100 high school athletes spent the afternoon with the Pitt State coaching staff for a prospect camp.
I think we saw some future gorillas out there today.
The athletes had the opportunity to learn and showcase their skills.
It's a big thing that I increased on today was definitely my technique and my form, as well as running routes hard and getting out my breaks. So I really feel like I got better today. And
the coaching staff evaluated the local talent.
Obviously, we're looking for good athletes. We're looking for guys that are strong and that can move and run and change direction, and then guys that love football and they work hard and they finish the drills out here. They pay attention to details and they're coachable.
Our offense, we're not going to throw the ball 30 times a game, so kind of get out here and kind of try and spread it out and throw a little bit. It's always good. Just to kind of get out and kind of showcase what I've been working on the past couple months and get out, see some competition, and kind of feel the coaches out and see what they think.
These in-person interactions are a key part of the recruiting process.
We want to see guys live too, and we want to be able to work with them in a live situation. And it's really important for me, coaching the quarterbacks, to see how a ball comes out of a guy's hand and so forth. And our coaches at other positions get the same kind of evaluation live.
The energy here is different. That's one thing I like about Pitt State is all the coaches, no matter how their day going, anything, right when these players get out here, their level of intensity, everything just goes straight through the roof.
But today is not only about what you can do on the football field, it's also about creating relationships.
First of all, it's just getting them here on campus, showing them our beautiful facilities and what we have to offer. And then even more than that is just making that connection with the coaches and getting to know the guys.
My biggest thing of playing at the next level is connection, and that's what I feel like Pitt State has the most.
That was our own Danny Terzer reporting. The second and final prospect camp of the summer, that'll take place July 15th. Joplin Outlaws in Jefferson City to take on the Renegades. Season series split at 1 game apiece. Joplin plated 2 runs in the 6th, and that was good enough to hold up. Good old-fashioned pitching duel as the Outlaws pick up a win on the road and return home to host the Renegades today. Major League Baseball action, Kansas City and San Francisco in a series finale. Royals trying to avoid a sweep, and they do so, winning 3-2. Bobby Witt Jr., 2 for 4, also scored a run. Cards hosting a final game of a 4-game set with the Pirates. Pittsburgh takes a lead in the 7th, and the Pirates finally win one. Final score, 6-4. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the families of 2 Americans fighting in Ukraine, hoping for their safe return after the pair go missing. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Just seconds away from 5:17. Good time for a little weather on the 7s. Current conditions over 7th and Rangeline, 79 degrees. Big difference between today and our last several mornings. The wind finally subsiding somewhat. We're not going to have to worry about any of those 35-mile-per-hour gusts. We'll just keep it at about 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the south this morning, and really the most we're going to see is probably about 10 to 15 miles per hour for the afternoon. Still high humidity though, hovering around 80% with temperatures in the low to high 70s. That's right, still got some low 70s up there in Iola and in Yates Center. Compare that to the 78s in Lamar and Carthage, 77 in Miami, and those 77 in Neosho and Anderson as well. Here's that aforementioned wind, still just kind of a little breezy in from the south, but like I said, at least it's not one of those that's going to shake our tower cameras and rattle our tree leaves all morning long. We do have watches and warnings that have reemerged as a result of the Midwest heat wave. Those are going to be heat advisories for just about the 99.9% of the 4 states right there. We'll leave Benton County out of it. You also see that little sliver of green up in Greenwood County on the far left-hand side of your screen, top left. That's from overnight rainfall, where they picked up in excess of 1.5 inches. And really, it was quick. Really from about 10 p.m. to midnight, and then it shot out of here. So right now on the Skywatch storm tracker, we're going to stay on the dry side. We're trying to get a little pop every now and then up here in the far northeastern section. But really, it's going to be the formulation of a system that's going to hang over Kansas City, and we'll see if it has any southerly drop to it. So far, it really hasn't indicated that it wants to head toward us. Jet stream, big difference in the jet right now. Everything was coming up this way for the past several days now. We see a big movement as far as the ridge goes, hanging over Big Sky country. That means a massive warm-up for them. And then we'll see a whole lot of thunderstorm activity right here along that dividing line between the milder temperatures and the heat. And that's why when we go to the old severe thunderstorm risk map, this is that area that I'm talking about in that low category up, really tracks from just west of KC all the way through St. Louis. And then we've got the elevated portion in New York and Pennsylvania, and a little bit down here in Georgia and Florida as well. As far as future track, as we have a dry Thursday on hand, let's see when we get to Friday. That's that system very top of your screen right there, and it tries to clip a little bit of our northern counties early Friday morning. But then after it pushes out, it's just back to concentrating on the heat wave, because it's going to be 90s all the way into Father's Day weekend. And as a matter of fact, we'll be able to extend that with even hotter temperatures to begin next week than what we started this week. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Instapoll on our Facebook page. We call it our Something to Talk About, as gas prices depend on factors far from America borders. So what really goes into the price that you're paying at the pump? Well, Errol Barnett explains.
I pay $175 to fill up this car.
That was half a tank. A little more than $64 for half a tank.
We all know that feeling of pain at the pump.
And you don't even know why.
But what you may not know is what exactly determines the price of fuel.
The supply and demand.
Inflation all around, the war.
Taxes. I don't quite understand the whole economics behind it.
What makes up the bulk of the prices we see posted?
Oh, without a doubt, it's crude oil. And crude oil is a globally priced commodity.
Robert Sinclair is a spokesperson for AAA. He says there are 4 main contributors to the price of gas: taxes, distribution and marketing, and refining, all playing a key role. But roughly 2/3 of what you pay is based on the price of crude oil, which itself is up 70% from last year. American oil companies lead the world in oil production, but we still consume far more than we make. Saudi Arabia is second in production, and Russia a very close third.
Russia was and is a major producer, so you take 10% off the market, suddenly everybody is scrambling with that higher value, higher price.
What's the next major contributor?
Probably refining costs is the next major contributor.
Refineries are not distributed evenly across the country. You'll find lower gas prices in southern states where there are more refineries. As you head west, there are fewer.
In California, you have to drive, and thus the gasoline there is more valuable, and with very few refineries, it's going to be more expensive.
Sinclair says as long as the war in Ukraine rages, prices will continue to rise. So one gas station in Minnesota is trying to find some humor in the situation.
Try to show empathy to your customers. When a little Toyota Corolla gets fuel and it's $80, you kind of, know how much it hits home to people.
That price of crude goes after rising yesterday. Overnight, we did see about a 40% slip in Brent crude and about a quarter to 30% drop in West Texas Intermediate. Now, some states have implemented gas tax holidays. That suspends gas taxes temporarily, something the president is reportedly considering as well. But energy experts say the rising price of crude oil has simply overwhelmed any savings from lowering taxes. Experts also warn that if there's a major hurricane this season that disrupts oil production in the Gulf, you can expect that to impact oil prices as well. Our question for you: how much of gas prices affected you? KOAMNewsNow.com/vote or connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. Be back with Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, an FDA advisory panel supports COVID-19 vaccines for children 6 months of age to 5 years old. Children in that age group are the only ones not currently eligible to be vaccinated against COVID-19. On Wednesday, all 21 vaccines advisors voted in favor of expanding emergency use authorization of the Moderna and the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines to include the younger kids, agreeing the vaccine would offer more benefits than risk. FDA typically follows the committee's decisions. The next step is for the FDA to decide whether to authorize the vaccine for emergency use in the young age group. Then the CDC's vaccine advisors would vote whether to recommend the shots. That's expected to happen on Saturday. If the vaccines are signed off on by the FDA and the CDC, the White House has said shots could start as early as next week. The Biden administration is taking new steps to safeguard clean drinking water. It's specifically taking aim at a class of chemicals called PFAs, known as forever chemicals, since they accumulate and take a long time to break down. The chemicals are linked to a number of health problems. The administration is releasing $1 billion from the bipartisan infrastructure law to help communities facing contamination. States and tribes can now apply for funding that will provide technical assistance, water quality testing, and new water treatments. The Environmental Protection Agency is also taking several actions, among them implementing a nationwide monitoring program and developing national safety standards for drinking water. The World Health Organization has scheduled an emergency meeting on the monkeypox outbreak to determine if the virus is an international health threat. Agency is also investigating exactly how the disease is spreading. Tina Kraus has more.
The World Health Organization is exploring the possibility that monkeypox could be sexually transmitted after the virus was found in bodily fluids of several patients in Italy and Germany.
There are some patients among whom have had semen tested for virus and come back positive, so that's something that we're looking at.
The agency says the disease, which has infected more than 1,600 people in 35 countries, including the U.S., is transmitted through close contact. Many infections in the U.K. have been among gay and bisexual men. But James McFadzean, who contracted monkeypox, says it's important not to stigmatize certain communities.
I think we need to be careful about how we
label it. You know, it's not a gay disease, it's a tropical strange disease.
The WHO is working with experts to come up with a new name for the virus after more than 30 international scientists complained the monkeypox label is discriminatory. The disease, which was first discovered in Africa in monkeys, causes a rash that can look like chickenpox. It's a virus that originates in wild animals like rodents and occasionally jumps to people.
The global outbreak of monkeypox is clearly unusual and concerning.
Europe remains the epicenter, with 85% of the world's infections. Most people recover within weeks, but in rare cases, the disease can be deadly. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
The Centers for Disease Control recommends travelers protect themselves from monkeypox by wearing masks. That's a look over some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, underwater rescue teams recover a body in Shoal Creek during a search of Joplin's Grand Falls.
Looks can be a tad bit deceiving. You'd think maybe we get a little Thursday rain. No, we've got Thursday heat. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Mercy Hospital celebrates a big milestone with its 100th life-saving implant.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, it's going over to Michael Hayslip.
That's some Thursday clouds lingering from the front that pushed through late last night. Even dropped a little rain up in Greenwood County in our far northwestern section of southeast Kansas. But we will stay dry for the rest of the day. There's that shot that we saw in the open there over 7th and Rangeline where we sit at 79 degrees. Daily Almanac as we set a record overnight for the warmest low. 3rd consecutive night we've been able to do that. Only dropped down to 79 degrees. Here's our temperatures as we currently stand. You'll notice we talked about up to the northwest where it's a little bit more mild. 72 in Yates Center, 71 in Iola. Compare that to the 78s that we see in Lamar and Carthage and Miami at 77. The wind has subsided somewhat. We'll call that a winter. No worries about the 30-mile-an-hour gusts that we've had past couple of days. And even with that cloud cover, just a little pop up there to the northeast is all we have for the lingering rain. Next system really doesn't move in until Friday. Heat waves just stays right over the Midwest. We have not seen a whole lot of movement of it, even though the jet stream has progressed somewhat and is actually going to expand geographically how the heat moves across the upper plains. For us, mid-90s later on today. We talked about that system headed on Friday. Very top of your screen is formulates over Kansas City right there. Tries to drop just a little rain on us early Friday morning. Not widespread, not looking at anything severe, and it's just going to be a hot one. We're going to lock in to 96 on Friday, 94 on Saturday. Remember, next week is actually starting off hotter than what we were this week.
Well, we're making it through the week. We're making it.
Take that whole heat advisory map that's just orange everywhere, and we can pretty much just say that's going to hang for the rest of June.
I liked your idea of getting to the pool for Father's Day. That's a good way to cool off and still chill with Dad.
I tell you what, with as consistent 90s as we've had, you're liable to get in that pool and feel about like bath water.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm sure it's warm by now. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, authorities recover a body in their search for a missing man in Shoal Creek at Joplin's Grand Falls. Water rescue teams had been searching the area since receiving a report that a man had gone underwater in the river Tuesday afternoon and never resurfaced. Crews searched for several hours on Tuesday evening and then resumed the search yesterday using boats and depth sonar. A body was recovered around 6:20 Wednesday evening. Authorities have not yet revealed the identity of that person. The House committee investigating the January 6, 2021 insurrection is holding its 3rd public hearing today. The panel is expected to focus on former Vice President Mike Pence, who faced threats by Trump supporters during the riots. The hearing comes after the panel released surveillance video of a tour led by a Republican congressman the day before the attack. And now that video is raising new questions. Naomi Ruckham reports.
talk about the false.
CBS News has learned one of today's star witnesses, retired conservative federal judge Michael Luttig, is expected to testify before the House panel investigating January 6, 2021, that America's democracy was almost stolen during President Trump's efforts to remain in office. Before the deadly Capitol attack, Luttig is said to have urged Vice President Pence and his aides to resist Mr. Trump's pressure campaign to delay or block the congressional certification of Joe Biden's victory. In the panel's first two hearings, the House Select Committee began its effort to directly connect the former president to the insurrection.
We'll tell the story of how Donald Trump lost an election and knew he lost an election, and as a result of his loss, decided to wage an attack on our democracy.
On the eve of Thursday's hearing, the Select Committee released surveillance video of a tour led by Georgia Republican Congressman Barry Loudermilk the day before the Capitol attack, with some of the guests documenting locations like staircases, security checkpoints, and hallways. The panel says the footage shows a man who was seen threatening members of Congress the next day on January 6th as rioters marched toward the Capitol. Loudermilk has denied any wrongdoing.
No one in that group showed that type of aggression that day. I mean, they were just here visiting.
The U.S. Capitol Police, after reviewing the footage, released a statement saying, "We do not consider any of the activities we observed as suspicious." Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
CBS News has meanwhile confirmed a Washington Post report that the panel has obtained emails that indicate Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, Ginny, may have been more involved in efforts to overturn the election than previously known. It's unclear what role, if any, that will play in the public hearings. Today's proceedings begin at noon Central Time. CBS News will broadcast it as a special report. Mercy Hospital celebrates a milestone with heart. Mercy Joplin recently completed its 100th Watchman Implant. The Watchman is a device that treats atrial fibrillation that is not caused by a heart valve problem. A Watchman is also considered as an alternative to blood thinners. On Wednesday, they recognized the patient who received the implant.
It makes us feel great. We brought this service here for our community, and it feels great that we can keep them here with the doctors they know and trust, and we don't have to refer them, out to larger health systems to have it done. So it's really been a game changer for us here locally.
The Watchman implant is about the size of a quarter.
Heat advisories until tonight, and those are just going to be extended all the way through the weekend. Also, too, I wanted to point out that little sliver up there in Greenwood County, is that sliver of green from overnight rain, where about an inch and a half, inch and 3/4 of rain. They got on it. They got on it quick. It wasn't widespread by any means, but just one of those systems that popped up right along the warm front. They've actually got some more mild temperatures out to the northwest right now. Everybody else pretty much mid to high 70s and working up, feeling about like 103 to 105 this afternoon.
This morning, we're discussing the rising cost of fuel, and we all know that feeling of pain at the pump. According to AAA, the national average cost for a gallon of gas sits at just a little over $5. The average cost for a gallon of gas here in the 4 states comes out to $4.63. Pretty sure in Kansas it's $4.67 as well. Many folks are frustrated, and understandably so, and do not understand what determines the cost of fuel. According to one expert, there are 4 factors that determine the price we pay at the pump: taxes, distribution, and marketing. Refining cost. But 2/3 of what we pay for fuel is based on the price of crude oil, which is up 70% from last year. Taking all of these factors into consideration doesn't change the fact that higher gas prices have become a very real consideration for the present and foreseeable future.
It's a little bit deceiving too. If you were to jump on the markets right now, you'd see that West Texas Intermediate and Brent crude both dropped overnight, one by about 40 cents, the other by about 50 cents. What's deceiving about that, Tanya, is go back through yesterday's market. Both of them had already increased by $1 a barrel. So the drop that we see overnight,
it didn't bring it back,
right? It doesn't make up for the gains that they had from yesterday. Our question for you is, how much have gas prices affected you right now? 63% of you say greatly, 37% say somewhat, and somebody just said not. God bless our one voter who says not at all.
I wonder if that's somebody without a driver's license.
Independently wealthy or without a driver's license.
But you know what?
Could be both.
Even if you don't have a driver's license, like if you pay for deliveries, I'm sure that cost has gone up as well too.
Yeah, everything.
It affects everybody directly or indirectly.
It's everything.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even like some utility services have gone up because they have a fuel surcharge added to it as well.
And the price of their delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting it right. We were just talking, was that Jasper County we were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you're feeling the effects just patrolling an area.
Yeah.
Heck of
That was Crawford County, but I'm sure it's the same way. I'm sure it's the same way in Jasper
I'm sure it's the same in
County,
Jasper,
you know,
right.
When your business is driving. I mean, we drive a lot here in the news business too. That's how we get to every story.
That is true.
It's going to hurt. It is. All right, thanks, Michael. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Apple markets its AirTags as a convenient way to keep track of valuables like your keys or your wallet. But now criminals are using them to track their victims. We'll explain. Plus, the World Cup does not kick off until 2026, but World Soccer's governing body has some news about host sites later today. And 10 of those sites will be in America. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, the World Center Kitchen says a Russian missile blew up its food train in eastern Ukraine on Wednesday. Nate Mook, the nonprofit CEO, said there were no injuries. In all, it lost roughly $50,000 worth of food, though. Mook says it's a reminder that humanitarian aid, including food, has become a target in this war. But he says this will not stop the group's work. They'll be back Thursday to collect salvageable food from damaged wagons. 2 Americans are believed to be missing after volunteering to fight with the Ukrainian army. Their families are hoping for their safe return. Bobby Poitivint has the story.
Alabamians Alex Drewkey and Andy Winn are missing in Ukraine. The 2 veterans left their homes in April to help. They befriended each other on the front lines. Families learned of their disappearance Monday.
He wasn't doing what's easy. He was doing what was right.
Andy's fiancée Joy is proud of her future husband. She's counting on him to come home so they can plan their wedding.
I know that the Lord is with him, and that gives me a lot of comfort. And again, we just want to see him come home safely.
Alex's mother, Lois Drewkey, believes the 2 men are either hiding or have been captured by Russian forces.
I'm trying to stay calm because losing it isn't going to be helpful to Alex at all.
She believes her son has the military skills to survive.
I'm so proud of Alex for being willing to risk his life to help other people he didn't even know. But ultimately, he was risking it for America's safety.
White House spokesman John Kirby could not confirm reports that 2 American fighters were captured in Ukraine. He said if it's true, the White House will do everything it can to bring them home safely. U.S. has discouraged Americans from joining the fight in Ukraine. Maybe 4 years away, but for a select few cities in the United States, preparations for the World Cup for the 2026 World Cup to be specific, could start today. The international soccer governing body, FIFA, will announce host sites for the 2026 World Cup at 4 o'clock Central Time. This unique situation saw different cities from 3 host countries, Canada, Mexico, and the U.S., fight each other to hold matches as opposed to having new stadiums being built in different cities. 16 cities across 3 countries will host matches, with 10 of those in the United States. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities recover a body in Shoal Creek during their search for a missing man at Joplin's Grand Falls. Water rescue teams had been searching the area since receiving a report that a man had gone underwater in the river Tuesday afternoon and never resurfaced. Crews searched for several hours on Tuesday evening and then resumed the search yesterday using boats and depth sonar. The body was recovered around 6:20 last night. Authorities have not yet told the identity of that person. A Webb City man dies from a motorcycle crash in Joplin on Wednesday. Police say 28-year-old Juan Gabriel Gonzalez Correa was riding a motorcycle at a high speed at the intersection of Zora and Rangeline. A car coming from the opposite direction was making a left turn. The motorcycle hit the car. Gonzalez Correa later died at the hospital. Another impact of the rising fuel prices, a potential increase in gas thefts. Cherokee County, Kansas Sheriff says while they haven't seen many of those thefts yet, the thefts typically increase when prices are high. Some tips provided to help protect yourself, though. One is getting a gas cap with a lock. These usually cost less than $20. They also recommend to park in a well-lit area at night and, if possible, in front of a security camera. You might imagine in the midst of this heat wave, Joplin Schifferdecker Pool is busy, and it might be even busier than usual because the pool at Cunningham Park is currently closed due to a lifeguard shortage. About 100 lifeguards are required to operate the city's 3 pools. The city is currently well short of that. They need about 30 more lifeguards to open the Cunningham Pool. That's a check of today's top headlines. The news you need to know before you head out the door.
No surprise that we've got heat advisories for today. Going to push up into the mid-90s. Feel about like 103 to 105, even some 107s. Down in the southern portion of the 4 states, it's pretty much all encompassing. Benton County, they got left out of the fun as far as the heat advisory goes. Here's where we stand right now. Anywhere from low 70s up to the northwest, so a little bit more comfortable up there, but already pushing up close to 80 degrees in Joplin, Oswego, Carthage, and then down south of I-44, it's consistently been 75 just about each and every morning. The cooler temperatures actually result of a little front that moved through late last night and even dropped more than an inch of rain in Greenwood County. As a matter of fact, they even have a little sliver of Greenwood County that's in the midst of a flood warning right now. Future track for us, stay dry on Thursday. By the time we get to tonight, top of your screen, up by Kansas City. Pretty good system develops right there. And so as this thing rolls through early Friday morning, we see a little bit of southerly lag to it. Tries to clip our far northern counties. The hardest of the rain, though, will roll through KC and then kind of make its way along I-70. We're liable to see some limited lightning with that. We will stay out of the fray of anything severe when it comes to high wind or hail. The majority of the 4 states won't see anything. And then Friday, look at that, right back into the 90s on Friday. That's why that heat advisory is just going to be extended all the way into Father's Day weekend. You'll also notice, too, the beginning of next week, 93, 94, 95, Monday through Wednesday. The beginning of next week will actually be hotter than what we started off and finished with this week as far as our average highs go. Be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Police warn more criminals are using Apple AirTags to unknowingly track their victims. But it turns out that's not illegal behavior, depending where you live. Alexis McAdams has the story.
This is an Apple AirTag. It's supposed to help you keep track of your keys and your wallet, but police say some people are using it to stalk people. And that's what happened out in Indianapolis. Take a look here on your screen. This is 26-year-old Galen Morris there. Police say she used the device to follow her cheating boyfriend out to a local bar. When she found 26-year-old Andre Smith there with another woman, police say she ran him over with her car 3 times and killed him. It's just one example of a growing and a dangerous trend.
I think we hear more and more stories about how these devices are being used for bad rather than the good they were invented for. So I think we all have to be a little more cautious and curious about these things as we move forward.
In a statement, Apple says in part, we condemn in the strongest possible terms any malicious use of our products. Right now, tracking someone with an AirTag is not illegal in all 50 states. But 23 states and Washington, D.C. have electronic tracking laws. 3 other states have bills in the works, including Ohio, where lawmakers are working to pass a new bipartisan bill inspired by the murder of an Akron mom. Heidi Moon was shot and killed in her own driveway by her ex-boyfriend. Her family tells me he used an Apple AirTag to follow her home.
He had it stuffed down in the seat cushion of her car and actually shot her with her own weapon. He was a convicted felon and wasn't able to obtain or own any kind of weapon of his own.
That bill could pass later this year, although it will not bring the victims back. Heidi's family tells me they're hopeful it could stop future tragedies.
So many things are going to be missed, not having her here anymore. I hate for this to happen to anybody else.
Now, Apple has had some new software additions But if you're still worried about this, you can listen for unfamiliar beeping to try and find the AirTag. And check for Apple notifications. We'll be back with another look at your forecast right after this.
Hanging on to a little cloud cover from the front that moved through overnight, even dropped some rain in Greenwood County in the far northwestern portion of southeast Kansas. As a matter of fact, northern part of Greenwood County in the midst of a flood warning right now. Daily almanac on this June the 16th would be an average high of 86. We will challenge the record of 95 degrees set back in 1952. And while that's an actual temperature, it's going to feel about like 103 to 107 later on when we get during our peak heating hours. So once again, it is time to take precautions if you're going to be outside for extended periods of time. Waiting on somebody to push up to 80 here before the 6 o'clock hour. Joplin at 79, Oswego and Welch at 78, along with Lamar and Carthage. A little bit better up in the northwest section where it's in the low 70s. Nice thing is we won't have to fight the wind today. That'll kind of be a welcome relief. No longer gusting at 35 miles per hour. There's the aforementioned cloud cover. We saw a little pop of rain in the northeast portion up in St. Clair County. That's now a thing of the past as well. The Midwest is going to remain dry. No worry about any pop-up thunderstorms, anything of that nature. Jet stream, big movement in it. I've got the ridge that's just about to make its way over Big Sky country. But as far as the definitive line on the heat wave goes, no, it just really hasn't moved here the last couple of days. So we head into Father's Day weekend right in those 90s and going to stick around all the way into next week. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, a fatal crash in Joplin takes the life of a Webb City man.
We are back under heat advisories, and tell you what, this is going to last all the way into Father's Day weekend and maybe a little light rain as well. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And law enforcement takes a look at how climbing gas prices affect budgeting.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
A pretty sight here with the cloud cover that we have, and it's part of that funnel system that moved through overnight. Dropped a little rain in the far northwestern section of the 4 states. Everybody else just gets to enjoy a marvelous looking sunrise. 78 degrees in Joplin. 81% humidity. That humidity has already grown by 5% in the last hours. It's moving in the wrong direction right now. As far as the Skywatch storm tracker goes, satellite coverage picking up the clouds. We are done with what rain we did have for our far northern counties. And the massive heat wave enveloping the southwest and all the way up really through the northeastern portion of the United States. Not going to want to budge, resulting in heat advisories, not only for us, but look how far they stretch. They're back down to the southeastern portion of the United States as well. And we've got anywhere from heat advisories in orange to excessive heat warnings for metropolitan areas, including St. Louis. Weather trend for us, mid-90s later on today. We talked about that possibility of some rain. Well, it's really going to be early tomorrow morning. Very top of your screen, system develops over Kansas City, and look at it, just tries to sprint right through our far northern counties right there. So we are seeing a little southerly drop in this system, but the hardest of the rain, thunder, and lightning should stay to the north of us and not looking at anything severe. Our biggest threat is the heat, as we just are stuck in the mid-90s all through Father's Day into next week.
All right, well, can't complain about having no rain on Father's Day, so you could grill out. That sounds like fun.
That will not be an issue. Staying cool around that grill will.
Trying to look at bright things, yeah. Yeah, good day to get to the pool, to maybe get to the lake, or get to
you pick a day. You pick a day on the 7-day forecast. It'll be a good day to go to the pool.
Yeah, and decent lows the night before and after.
Saturday and Sunday's lows are really going to be a big change. It's going to be nice to be able to clear the skies off, actually have the temperatures drop somewhat, because that'll make the mornings much more tolerable.
There you go. See, we just found some positives for you, 4 states.
There you go.
Love you. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, authorities have recovered a body in their search for a missing man in Shoal Creek at Joplin's Grand Falls. Water rescue teams had been searching the area since receiving a report that a man had gone underwater in the river Tuesday afternoon. and never resurfaced. Crews searched for several hours Tuesday evening and then resumed the search yesterday using boats and depth sonar. A body was recovered around 6:20 last night. Authorities have not yet told the identity of the person. A Webb City man is dead from a motorcycle crash in Joplin. On Wednesday, police say 28-year-old Juan Gabriel Gonzalez Correa was riding a motorcycle at a high speed at the intersection of Zora and Rangeline. A car coming from the opposite direction was making a left turn, and the motorcycle hit the car. Gonzalez Correa later died at the hospital. As of today, AAA reports the Kansas gas price average is $4.67 a gallon. In Missouri, it's $4.68, Oklahoma, $4.66, and in Arkansas, $4.54. In all 4 states, it's below the national average, which is at $5.01. The rising cost of fuel, though, is taking a toll on law enforcement budgets. The Crawford County Sheriff's Office says its spending for fuel has climbed more than 60% from a year ago and expects the cost to increase.
This time last year in May, our fuel bill was just a little under $11,000 for that month, so it was about $10,700, and that was at a $263 average. Well, this May, the average is $383, and it was a $16,000 bill. So, so we're seeing about a $6,000 from last time, this time last year.
Later in the show, our own Jalen Banks will take a deeper dive into the story. Another impact of the rising fuel prices, a potential uptick in gas thefts. The Cherokee County, Kansas Sheriff says while they haven't seen many of those thefts yet, the thefts typically increase when prices are high. There are some tips to help protect yourself. One is getting a gas cap with a lock. These usually cost less than $20.
Gas prices have risen and fallen over the several years. When they do spike, we see a correlation of theft of motor fuel, and so we've seen that in the past, and that's why we're trying to get ahead of it a little bit and just remind residents to take those precautions so that they don't become victims of theft.
And another tip is to park in a well-lit area at night and, if possible, in front of a security camera. As you might imagine, in the midst of this heat wave, Joplin Schifferdecker Pool is busy, and it might be even busier than usual because the pool at Cunningham Park is currently closed due to a lifeguard shortage. About 100 lifeguards are required to operate the city's 3 pools. The city is currently well short of that. They need about 30 more lifeguards to open the Cunningham Pool.
One of the factors that's causing the shortage is the competitive wages that exist in Joplin. There's a lot of different opportunities for people to work different jobs. So improving city wages is an important aspect of filling this shortage.
Joplin's starting pay for lifeguards is $10.30 an hour. In this hot weather, why not cool down with some water aerobics? Every Monday and Wednesday, the Pittsburgh Aquatic Center hosts its Aqua Salsa class. How fun. Aqua Salsa brings an opportunity to anyone who wants to learn to dance or anyone who loves to dance. The class is open to anyone looking for a good workout.
We had an amazing day. It's a wonderful exercise class, and it's definitely a good workout.
The class in all costs $25, starts at 9:15 in the morning and goes until 10 a.m. Today, back in 1884, the first roller coaster in America opens. It opened on Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York, known as the Switchback Railway. It was the brainchild of Lamarcus Thompson. Traveled approximately 6 miles per hour and cost a nickel to ride. The new entertainment was an instant success, and by the turn of the century, there were hundreds of roller coasters around the country. Roller coasters and amusement parks experienced a decline during the Great Depression and World War II when Americans had less cash to spend on entertainment. But with the opening of Disneyland in Anaheim, California, it signaled the advent of the modern theme park and the rebirth of the roller coaster. Now, fun fact.
Fun fact?
Yes, the hot dog is said to have been invented at Coney Island in 1867 by Charles Feltman. So, Coney Island, whee!
6 miles an hour. Can you think about the roller coasters that we have today?
Yeah.
If we were to put a kid who liked roller coasters and say, all right, hang on tight.
I don't think like, I'm thinking of like the Time Traveler or like I just came back from Silver Dollar City over Memorial Weekend, but like those roller coasters where your face goes back like this, you can't do that at 6 miles an hour. Yeah.
I wonder what safety precautions, if any, they had.
Probably not.
I bet you they didn't even have
Those
a belt.
started after the first accident, I'm sure.
Well,
but, yeah, and it's important that they have them, and parks
well,
do their
yeah,
best
with
to
as
follow
fast
them, too.
as fast as they go now, that would be a thrill ride I would not get on. Somebody was like, "Here, why don't you just hang on, hey slip?" I'd be like, "No, thank you. Let's go back to 6 miles an hour at Coney Island." Skywatch storm tracker with the big ridge of the jet stream now over Big Sky Country, an indicator that the heat wave is going to expand throughout the contiguous 48. Our temperatures in between 72 and 78 right now. Still waiting on somebody to get up to 80. We'll top out around now, say about 93, 94. Feeling about, let's go 103 to 105 this afternoon.
All right, and that's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Chef Anthony rolls out his grilling tools to tell us a little more about his upcoming barbecue competition. Plus, a road is named in honor of Jamal Shakur. We'll explain. And how dogs help children's stress levels go down. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, one person is dead, 2 others injured in a shooting at an Ohio community center. Police discovered the 3 victims while responding to reports of shots fired. According to witnesses, started with an argument in a parking lot. The Glenwood Community Center in Columbus is being used as a cooling center for people who do not have power as the heat wave grips the entire Midwest. Authorities have not released the identities of the victims. They are identified as young adults or in their late teens, 2 of them female. John Hinckley Jr., the man who shot President Ronald Reagan and 3 others, has been released from court supervision. Hinckley tweeted Wednesday, "After 41 years, 2 months, and 15 days, freedom at last." The would-be presidential assassin was found not guilty by reason of insanity in a jury trial in 1982. Hinckley was treated at a mental hospital, released more than 30 years later in 2016. Since then, he's lived in Virginia, first with his mother, then on his own after her death in August. Hinckley previously announced that he formed a band and will be doing a concert at Brooklyn's Market Hotel in July. Although President Reagan suffered a punctured lung in the March 30th, 1981 assassination attempt, he recovered. However, White House Press Secretary James Brady was shot in the head. A medical examiner blamed Brady's death 34 years later on Hinckley, but prosecutors declined to file additional charges. A street outside the Saudi Embassy in Washington, D.C. has a new name as the Council on American Islamic Relations and Democracy for the Arab World unveiled Jamal Khashoggi Way. The latter organization was founded by the slain journalist just 4 months before he was murdered. Khashoggi made international headlines in 2018 when he went missing after entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. He was trying to obtain paperwork to get married. Investigators discovered he was killed shortly after he entered the building. U.S. intelligence blamed Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for his death and said it was premeditated. That is a look at today's top national stories. We'll be back with Chef Anthony in Studio K right after this.
Welcome back. I've got Chef Anthony from Pittsburgh High School here in studio this morning. I'm excited about today. We've got Father's Day coming up this weekend. Yep. We're going to be cooking steak later on in the show.
Yes, we're going to do some steak and veggies for Father's Day, and I'm excited about that. Martinez Produce has a great box this week, so I'm taking a bunch of stuff out of there. We're going to do some fresh corn and zucchini and some onions and some tomatoes, grill it all, cook it all up together. It's going to be wonderful.
That's awesome. And I will admit, I ordered the fruit box this week as well, because it's full of like cantaloupe and watermelon and apples and oranges. And
it's great. I love getting the boxes every week because then I get to go through and just pick out all my favorite stuff. Mm-hmm. I ate a bag of grapes last night, so I was kind of excited.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of good stuff, and Simon Market this week has a lot of events coming together for you to go out and try their products. The Children's Advocacy event, Block Party, is Friday night starting at 6 o'clock.
That's tomorrow night.
And their pizza brats are tremendously wonderful. and he's going to have those out there. Drop the H is going to be preparing those for the public. You should really come out and check it out. It's going to be a wonderful event. I guess they're going to have a whole bunch of games and kind of a good old-fashioned just party.
Speaking of games and party, we've got an event coming up with Simon Market.
That's right. We have the Smokin' in the Jungle Cook-Off, which is going to be located out at the Dirty Mule on June 25th. Come out and select your cook site location on the 24th. Registration is $130. Go out to Simon Market, drop it off. You can scan the QR code on your screen to register, pre-register for it, and get everything set up. All the meat is included in your registration fee. So if you've never done a competition before, this is the one to do, because everybody will start with exactly the same thing: 4 whole chickens, 3 racks of St. Louis style ribs, and 1 tri-tip. And we're going to judge everything. And I've got some really good judges who are impartial all the way around the board that are going to have a lot of fun with this.
Okay.
So we have a live band coming from PHS to perform for us. It's a student band. I'm really excited for that one. We have a football toss for those of you athletes out there who want to show off a little bit. We're going to have an apple bob. We're going to have the old-fashioned lollipop tree. I love that event. That was the one I always went on.
Old-fashioned lollipop tree. How does that work?
It's a tower, and you pull the lollipop out of it, and if the bottom of the lollipop's colored, then you win a prize.
Oh, cool.
We're going to have a fish toss, thanks to Paws and Claws. They're going to give us donate some goldfish for us, so you could win a goldfish. I know people are like, I don't necessarily know if my kids need a goldfish. It's always fun to win, and the goldfish are fun.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But we're having a lot of fun. I've been working on my recipe for this event for a couple of weeks now.
I've had a couple of people call and ask if they can cook overnight.
You come out on the 24th and you select your site. If you're registered, you can start cooking as soon as you select your site, if you need to. That is not a problem. Once you've selected your site and you're good to go, we'll turn everybody loose. Of course, on the 24th, we're going to have a small meeting where they'll give out the meat, and then you'll be ready to go.
And of course, if we could pop up that one more time, you can easily register by scanning that QR code right now.
Yes, scan it right now. It automatically populates. Then all you have to do is bring your payment with you on that Friday or drop it by Simon Market. It's not a problem.
Yes, and if you can't get the QR code to work or you don't have that technology available, you can either call Simon Market to register or just swing by their store on Broadway.
Correct, or even send me a message. I'm easy to find. You can find me on USD 250's website in the faculty page, and you can send me an email, say I want to register, and I'll give you a call and we'll get you all squared away.
Most importantly, one thing we didn't talk about is what this event is raising money for.
This event is raising money to help send Pittsburgh High School culinary students to Italy next summer. We're going to take 12 days and we're going to start up in the French Riviera, and we're going to eat our way down through Italy and end up in Rome. It's so excited. FICO World Italy is on our agenda. That's like Worlds of Fun, but all food-based.
Really?
So it's going to be really
Worlds
good.
Of food.
Exactly. And they're going to get to visit a Parmesan aging facility. They're going to go to a balsamic vineyard. We're going to do all sorts of things. They're going to try fresh focaccia bread. They're going to visit with some farmers and experience their produce as it's growing, so they can see what it's like. 2 days in Rome at the very end. 1 day classic tours of the Colosseum and the sights to see. And the second day, private tour of the Vatican.
Oh, it sounds like an amazing trip.
It's going to be an amazing trip, and it's anybody in the community who wants to take part in this, you're more than welcome to reach out. We built in community spots for community members who wanted to go, or if you just want to contribute to the students, reach out. We'll set you up with a student to help sponsor. It's going to be an interesting experience for all of them, something that most of these students won't get to experience. I took it for granted growing up in the military, getting to see all over Europe and other countries and experience those things, but I wanted to share back to my students some of the fun that I had and the memories that I had. So this is going to be kind of exciting for them.
All right. Well, you can find more information about the barbecue cook-off, which is a great way to help support this fundraising event and trip to Italy next year, on our website later this morning at KOAMnewsnow.com. And even if you just want to come out and have fun and enjoy the festivities and help support them, that way we'll have donation jars out there as well for them. And everything, the fun festivity stuff will kick off around noon on Saturday.
And we're going to it's going to be like a good old-fashioned county fair with some of the games that we're going to have. So everybody can come out, have some fun. And we even have an open category. where if you just want to bring something, if you make something at home that's just everybody raves about, bring it. Put it in the open category.
Okay. And that's supplying your own meat?
That's supplying your own meat. If you want to do a pie, you can do a pie. If you do jalapeno poppers, do jalapeno poppers. Whatever you want, the open category is going to be there.
So the People's Choice judging, is that just of the open category or of all the categories?
That's just of the open category.
Okay.
Well, no, excuse me, I'm sorry. People's Choice will be over everything.
And it's only $2.
And it's going to be only $2.
Yep,
so
$2
you'll get
vote.
quite a bit of opportunities to get some money in there and to experience some really good food.
All right, sounds great. Well, I know you've got a lot of prep work to do to get ready for our own grilling segment coming up.
Oh yes, I'm excited. I
We're
love
going to be
this
making
stuff.
steak and veggies just in time for Father's Day. We'll be right back.
Topping Health Watch this morning, researchers at UCLA say adult flu vaccination rates have declined in states with low rates of COVID-19 vaccination. Authors say controversy over the COVID shot may be undermining other public health efforts and signaling a declining trust in both medicine and the government. New study in the BMJ suggests medicalizing menopause may not be helpful for some women. Researchers in Australia say while hormone replacement therapy can help with hot flashes and night sweats, treating menopause as a deficiency can also fuel negative expectations. Study authors advocate raising awareness and reducing the stigma around menopause. And dog-assisted interventions were found to lower stress levels in school children with both and without special needs. Researchers in the UK tracked levels of the stress hormone cortisol and found lower levels in both groups of children immediately after interacting with man's best friend, kid's best friend. That's a look at some of today's top health stories as you're watching the KOAM Morning News. Heat advisories lasting us all the way into tonight. Highs today in the mid-90s with heat index readings in between 103 and 107. We'll be back right after this.
Coming up, a fatal crash in Joplin takes the life of a Webb City man.
Going to have a quick warm-up on our Thursday. Even with the cloud cover, we've got heat advisories throughout the 4 states. The latest in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And law enforcement takes a look at how climbing gas prices affects their budgets.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:29. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, we've got Michael Hayslip in a very hot forecast.
And a beautiful sunrise. That is going to be absolutely gorgeous here as soon as the glow cloud creeps above the tree line. As far as what we're looking at right now in Joplin, sitting at 78 degrees, but the humidity continues to rise even as the sun makes an appearance. It's up to 81% right now. Still waiting on somebody to get to 80 as well. We're pretty much high 70s. We do see some low 70s in the far northwestern section in Yates Center and Iola. Monette actually has dropped a couple degrees down to 73, but everybody's going to be in the 90s here later on. And we're going to be able to do this 90-degree weather without having to worry about 30-mile-an-hour winds. That gives you an idea of how effective this heat wave is. You know, usually it's a combination of the wind and the humidity that will really lift our heat index up. Well, we can't blame the wind today. We're just going to roll about 10 to 15 miles per hour. But with that being said, the heat advisories are in effect for everybody, minus Benton County. I'm not sure how they skirted out of that. We should all jump on I-49, I guess, run down to Benton County because it's going to be cooler. It is not going to be cooler down there. It's going to be in the 90s just like every place else. There's just a little light cloud cover coming off of the low pressure front that moved through last night, even dropped some rain in Greenwood County. Weather trend for our Thursday, highs around 93, 94 degrees, feeling about like 103 to 105 for the afternoon hours, and incrementally warming up. That's right, even hotter on Friday and Saturday. Just carry that all through Father's Day into next week.
You know, if we didn't have the heat, we'd have nothing to complain about there, that's for sure. So, I mean, temperatures are going to be better or lows. I find a lot of positives in that. I was trying to be positive, and then you pulled up the oppressive meter.
Oh, we've changed the muggy meter. Now we just call it the oppressive meter.
It's officially the oppressive meter when it's in the oppressive category every day, but it's not. You've got Sunday and Monday, so it will not be an oppressive Sunday.
It's a result of those overnight lows that are able to drop into the 60s that we were talking about. That does kind of help us out next week, even though our actual temperatures will be hotter than what we started off this week.
But muggy every other day.
Yes.
All right.
Besides that, yes.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, authorities recover a body in their search for a missing man in Shoal Creek at Joplin's Grand Falls. Water rescue teams had been searching the area since receiving a report that a man had gone underwater in the river Tuesday afternoon and never resurfaced. Crews searched for several hours Tuesday evening and then resumed the search yesterday using boats and depth sonar. The body was recovered around 6:20 last night. Authorities have not yet told the identity of the person. Now, Webb City man is dead from a motorcycle crash in Joplin. On Wednesday, police say 28-year-old Juan Gabriel Gonzalez Correa was riding a motorcycle at a high speed at the intersection of Zora and Rangeline. A car coming from the opposite direction was making a left turn, and the motorcycle hit the car. Gonzalez Correa later died at the hospital. Well, parts of Yellowstone National Park have been closed and evacuated because of heavy flooding. A couple of the people who stuck around are a brother and sister from Carl Junction. Caleb and Tatum Graham both work at the Old Faithful Inn. They say while the area where they are has not been badly affected, the damage elsewhere has impacted them.
Yeah, we're gonna stay. The employees who work in Mammoth have all been evacuated to where we are. So the dining room is expected to open again hopefully next week, but it's going to be at limited capacity just for the safety of the roads and structures in the park.
There have been no reports of deaths caused by the flooding. As of today, AAA reports the Kansas gas price average is $4.67 a gallon. In Missouri, it's $4.68. Oklahoma, $4.66, and in Arkansas, $4.54. In all four states, it's below the national average, which is at $5.01. One impact of the rising fuel prices is a potential increase in gas thefts. Cherokee County, Kansas Sheriff says, while they haven't seen many of those thefts yet, the thefts typically increase when prices are high.
With the increasing price of gas right now, we haven't seen an uptick in thefts of fuel recently, but we do anticipate that, and I think it's something that we just need to be mindful of and take precautionary steps, and some of those can be relatively easy.
Well, some tips provided to help protect yourself. One is getting a gas cap with a lock, and these usually cost less than $20. They also recommend parking in a well-lit area at night and, if possible, in front of a security camera. The rising cost of fuel is taking a toll on all of us, and that includes law enforcement. It's a budgeting problem for them. Higher than expected expense at the pumps is forcing some departments to make adjustments. KOAM's Jalen Banks reports.
The Crawford County Sheriff's Department has seen a 60% increase in fuel spending this year. And with the prices continuing to rise, they're expecting their costs to go up even more.
This time last year in May, our fuel bill was just a little under $11,000 for that month, so it was about $10,700. And that was at a 263 average. Well, this May, the average is $383, and it was a $16,000 bill. So, so we're seeing about a $6,000 from last time, this time last year.
The national average for gas has gone up to $5 a gallon, and the Kansas State average is up to $4.67. The Crawford County Sheriff's Department is expecting their fuel bill for the month of June to be $20,000. Which would be double from a year ago. The department has no current plans to reduce services because of the fuel cost.
No, we're still operating like we usually operate. There's just, with our calls and patrol, and we're a pretty big county road-wise, so I don't feel comfortable doing anything to reduce our services because of the fuel prices. So I think that we still need to be out there patrolling and running traffic and responding to calls.
In Crawford County, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
You can find more information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. As you might imagine, during this heat wave, Joplin's Schifferdecker pool is busy, and it might be even busier than usual because the pool at Cunningham Park is currently closed due to a lifeguard shortage. About 100 lifeguards are required to operate the city's 3 pools, but the city is currently well short of that. They need about 30 more lifeguards to open the Cunningham pool.
Lifeguards is one position out of a lot of positions that the city's struggling to fill, and it does mean, unfortunately, a reduction of service to our citizens.
Joplin's starting pay for lifeguards is $10.30 an hour. With the warm weather outside, why not cool down with some water aerobics? Every Monday and Wednesday, the Pittsburgh Aquatic Center hosts its Aqua Salsa class. Aqua Salsa brings an opportunity to anyone who wants to learn to dance or anyone who loves to dance. The class is open to anyone, and even the instructor has received some great reviews.
And we are having fun because we combine the music with the water, so you can do the rhythm and your own intensity.
Aqua Salsa starts at 9:15 a.m. and goes until 10 o'clock. Well, today, back in 1971, Tupac Shakur was born. American rapper and actor Tupac Shakur, Tupac, like I just said, was born today. He had the 1996 #1 hit in the U.S., How Do You Want It? California Love. His greatest hits, released in 1996, is among the best-selling albums in the United States. He died from internal bleeding caused by bullet wounds on September 13th, 1996. His murder is still unsolved, even to this day.
Got a fave?
Oh, California.
You go California Love? I'll go Ain't Mad at You.
We talked about it in the newsroom. That song brings up a lot of high school memories. A lot of high school memories.
Yeah, that timeline, yeah.
Yeah.
There's something else. Just way too young. All right, temperatures right now, 78 in Joplin, 76 in Parsons, 73 in Monette. The next system we're eyeballing early Friday morning develops over Kansas City, and you can tell it just tries to skirt us just a little bit for our far northern counties on, now we'll say about 4 or 5 a.m. It's not going to be widespread, nothing severe by any means, but that's the next shot for any rain that we see. Other than that, we are just locked in with heat.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Ever wanted to get your meat out of a vending machine? Not really. One butcher shop in California is giving you that chance. Hopefully it's healthy. Plus, it's no secret that the price of gas is going up and projected to keep it that way. This leads us, we want to know how much have gas prices affected you so far. We let you weigh in. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, Wall Street cheered the Federal Reserve's latest salvo aimed at taming inflation. Last time the Fed raised rates by 3/4 of a percentage point was in 1994. The move comes in the wake of last week's government report showing inflation above 8%. Heights not seen since the early 1980s. The Fed is hoping to slow the economy, but without causing a recession. Central banks signaled a similar increase may be in store when Fed governors meet again at the end of July. Ford Motor Company is recalling 2.9 million vehicles that may roll away after being put in park, and there have been 4 reported injuries. Recall involves vehicles made between 2013 and 2021 and includes some C-Max, Edge, Escape, Fusion, and Transit Connect models. Owners of affected models will be notified starting June 27th. Anyone wondering where's the beef will soon be able to find it in this meat vending machine outside of Sacramento, California butcher shop. After the wraps are taken off the machine, customers will be able to tap the type and quantity of prepackaged meat they want, swipe their card, and head off with their purchase. The meat machine is aimed primarily at customers who want to buy something outside the store's normal business hours. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning, the rising cost of fuel. Everybody's feeling the pain at the pump. According to AAA, national average for a gallon, a little more than $5. Remember those days when it was 99 cents? Average cost for a gallon of gas in the 4 states comes out to $4.63 a gallon. Many people frustrated, and understandably so, and do not really understand what determines the cost of fuel. So according to an expert, there are 4 factors that are really determinants: taxes, distribution and marketing, refining costs, and 2/3 of what we pay for fuel based on the price of crude oil. Well, crude's up 70% from last year. Take all these factors into consideration. Does not change the fact that higher gas prices have become a very real consideration for the present and foreseeable future. Our question for you this morning, how much of gas prices affected you right now? 59% of you say, yeah, you're in the greatly category, and somewhat say 28%. It's a scant 13% that say really hasn't affected you at all. KOAMNewsNow.com/vote. That delivers you to the poll. You can also connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. Come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. But first, off to New York, let's check in with Nate.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Oscar-nominated director Baz Luhrmann will join us to talk about his latest movie, Elvis, a project 8 years in the making. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Captain Randall Cameron. The Junction City, Kansas native served in Iraq from 2003 to 2010. To Captain Randall Cameron, we thank you, today's four-state hero.
The birthday list begins with Reese Moreland, all dressed up for her birthday party right there. Reese turning 6 years old with love from Grandma, Grandpa, and the family. Happy birthday, big girl. She's in Nevada.
Aw, what a pretty dress. Love it. Brooklyn Thompson, welcome to the teenage years in Oswego with love from Mom, Dad, Bradley, Brendan, and the rest of the family.
In Humboldt, we've got a golden birthday and a sweet 16 for Rylan Covey. Rylan, I want you to have a marvelous 16th birthday. She's in Humboldt.
All right, that's a lovely picture. I love it. And we've got Donald Richardson celebrating the big 6-0 today. Love that cake. Love the balloons behind you, too. Donald is in Oswego.
Get up now. That's a get up. Tell you what, we'll just make the Oswego Shotopa run. And because we got birthday parties abound in that area, including Jesse Henry, who's got his hands full right there. Got a jockey in training that Jesse's working on. Jesse, happy 63rd birthday in Shotopa.
Oh, what a cutie there, too. All right, happy birthday, Jesse. And a happy birthday to William Haynes, who's celebrating birthday number 63. A little throwback pic there. Happy birthday from Josie, Chris, Serena, and Danielle. William is in Chanute.
Back to Shotopa for Miss Connie Miller. Happy 67th birthday to Connie.
All right, and Roe Parsons celebrating in McCune. Roe is turning 68 today.
We've got an 80th birthday celebration for Richard Ewan. Like took in a little Girard High School football right there. Richard, happy birthday.
All right. And Dale Flanagan celebrating birthday number 82 this year. Looking great there, Dale, in Jasper, Missouri.
Dale Flanagan, Marilyn Henry. Oh, I remember this because of the picture. Because we had a note here. During quarantine, Marilyn had a show called Mimi's House. You remember this, Tanya?
I do.
Where she did arts and crafts, and we had kids that couldn't make it to the classroom. They had to bide their time doing so. And Marilyn started this. I think it was Marilyn, forgive me if it wasn't on YouTube. I thought if I remember, I was on YouTube, and she did a show called Mimi's House, where she put together arts and crafts for the kiddos, and they could follow along with her while she did her show. Marilyn, I hope you were able to keep it going, because I know it was such a success and such a marvelous brainchild of yours, and a very happy birthday to you, ma'am.
You know it would be fun if we had Marilyn come on and make crafts with us.
Sure.
That'd be really cool. If you're interested, give us a holler, Marilyn. We'd love to do it. Mimi's House could move in studio. Like it. All right, our birthday list goes on. We've got Florence Kammerer turning 97 years old in Neodesha. And we are told that Miss Florence still lives by herself and still drives as well.
Kim Crane, a happy birthday to Miss Kim in Columbus. And Ty and Karen Norman. Just yesterday, they celebrated their 15th anniversary. Congratulations to Ty and Karen in Frontenac. A happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. This is where you can send them into birthdays at KOAMTV.com. You can also go to our website, KOAM News Now. KOAM.com. Here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Coming up when the KOAM Morning News transitions over to Fox 14, a woman comes home to find quite a surprise in her house. That's because there was a bear. Julie, whose bear is this? We're going to find out. We'll have her story right here when we transition over to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I want to hear Julie, whose bear is this? And then I want to bring back Gary from our coyote story. And I want Gary to ask, do bears climb stairs? Oh, goodness. That's why we have fun. Our temperatures right now hovering in the mid to high 70s. We haven't had a whole lot of movement, but eventually we're going to take this thing into the 90s here this afternoon. That's why we've got our heat advisories in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. The humidity factored in, the wind isn't really going to be an issue. It's going to be the humidity today that has us feeling about like 103 to 105. And we just keep on heating up for Friday and Saturday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities recover a body in Shoal Creek during their search for a missing man at Joplin's Grand Falls. Water rescue teams had been searching the area since receiving a report that a man had gone underwater in the river Tuesday afternoon and never resurfaced. Crews searched for several hours Tuesday evening and then resumed the search yesterday using boats and depth sonar. A body was recovered around 6:20 Wednesday evening. Authorities have not yet released the identity of the person. A Webb City man dies from a motorcycle crash in Joplin on Wednesday. Police say 28-year-old Juan Gabriel Gonzalez Correa was riding a motorcycle at a high speed of the intersection of Zora and Rangeline. A car coming from the opposite direction was making a left turn. The motorcycle hit the car. Gonzalez Correa later died at the hospital. The impact of the rising fuel prices, a potential increase in gas thefts. The Cherokee County, Kansas sheriff says while he hasn't seen many of those thefts yet, the thefts typically increase when prices are high. Some tips are provided to help protect yourself. One is getting a gas cap with a lock. These usually cost less than $20. They also recommend to park in a well-lit area at night and, if possible, in front of a security camera. As you might imagine, in the midst of this heat wave, Joplin's Schifferdecker pool is busy, and it might be even busier than usual because the pool at Cunningham Park is currently closed due to a lifeguard shortage. About 100 lifeguards are required to operate the city's 3 pools. The city is currently well short of that. They need about 30 more lifeguards to open the Cunningham pool. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Heat advisories and up into the 90s this afternoon. Next system is going to develop up to our north early tomorrow morning, and you see a little bit tries to skirt our far northern counties. It'd be nice if there were some cooler temperatures on the backside of that front. There are, however, not, as we'll be around 93 today, and then according to the Muggy Meter, ride the oppressive category into Father's Day weekend, and with temperatures actually increasing for Friday and Saturday compared to where we'll top out this afternoon.
All right. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making dreamy, creamy pudding in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Morning news continues on KOAM. CBS Mornings next. 2 former U.S. servicemen are thought to be captured by Russia while fighting in Ukraine. Coming up, we'll hear from heartbroken loved ones desperate for answers.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14 where your local morning news continues. And this morning, Chef Anthony makes us a steak and veggie recipe that you don't want to miss out.
Also, why people are advocating for the inclusion of Asian American history. Got all those stories and more when we transition over to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. That wraps it up for this Thursday edition. Try to stay cool, more importantly, stay safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.